So, a very good morning. So, I unfortunately don't have an Ollie in my presentation. That was a lovely video. But I would recommend you to go to visit IBM in Munich. I've been in their brand new building, actually on the day they opened it. Phenomenal stuff. So I really do recommend you to go and visit. It says the winning formula. So one of the things that we will talk about today, we've done a big analysis on all of our customers. And we've looked at what is the red thread between our customers that are successful. What is it that they're doing that are making them successful? So first, a little bit about TELE2, of course. Who are we? So this is TELE2 at a glance. So we're obviously predominantly a mobile operator in 9 markets in Europe, and you can see also the big market of Kazakhstan. Phenomenal market. High growth. So we cater to around 15 million people on a daily basis. And we provide them with both cellular solutions, but also, of course, fixed line solutions. And you can see it says 9+1. Now, what is the +1? The +1 is me, myself, and I. So what we did at TELE2, we separated the IoT business into a completely separate company within the group. And so this is then the IoT business. So we're around 100 people, and we have customers using our solutions today in more than 160 countries around the world. And we offer solutions that goes across every single vertical you can imagine. So we don't have a vertically specific focus, and I will take you through that in a second. And it says partners here, and we're lifting up our partners, and I'll come and explain to you why in a second. Because if I had a gun to my head, and someone forced me to tell them what is the single most important driver behind our huge success, it's the fact that we are working together with partners. And IBM, of course, being one of them, and many of them, the other players here today as well. So let's dwell into the winning formula then. So this is what happens. We have these events called IoT Talks. Has anyone been to IoT Talks, by the way? Yeah, a few people. Excellent. It's free, so you can all come and join us. It's several events across Europe, and this year we've had 4. You see them up here, and we ask several questions to the audience when they come and join us. And so one of the questions that we asked was this: what do you believe is the biggest barrier for you to get started with IoT? And you can see here at all 4 events, the common denominator why people are really not getting into it properly is because they don't really believe that they have a clear strategy. So that's very interesting, right? So very often strategy is about this: short-term versus long-term. In this case, ice cream versus broccoli, right? So, and we see our customers, they're in this predicament. They don't really know how to really jump into the waters of IoT. And so this is really what we're seeing. We're seeing that our customers are really standing ready to jump in. They know what they want to do. They know why they want to do it. And what happens then? Well, very often, what happens is you need a little bit of money. And then you go to your CFO and you say to him or her, could I have €1 million or 100,000 euros or 10,000 euros because I'm going to try this great new thing that I came up with? And what happens? They say, go back and do a business case. Show me the results. Now, of course, the problem with IoT is you're not going to know the results until you take the leap of faith and start trying it out. So I would argue the overriding red thread between our successful customers and the ones that hopefully are going to become successful in the future is that they have taken the leap of faith. They've started trying it out. So, on top of that overriding red thread, there are 3 other things. The first one is what we call the internal hero. Our customers that have been successful, they have internally within the organization found an ambassador, someone who can drive the project of change. Because remember, implementing IoT in any given organization, disregarding of in what type of vertical you're in, is a change project. It's going to change everything you do. It's going to change the way you sell your solutions, if you sell directly or indirectly, where you sell your solutions, who sells them. It's going to change the way that you R&D your products, right? It's going to change fundamentally everything, including your financials. If you're moving away from selling a product to selling a service, you're moving away from one-time revenue streams to recurring revenue streams. It's going to fundamentally change everything about your organization. So to be able to cope with that change, first thing you need to do is find the internal hero, the ambassador. And so let's watch a movie of one of the internal heroes of one of our companies.
When we say IoT, what do you see in your mind? Smart cities? Talking home appliances? Self-driving cars? Well, to be honest, so do we. But then we met these guys who were busy joining metal to metal and wanted to put it in the cloud. And, like most good stories, it all began with a...
It started with a speech made by our chairman of the board, Trails, in 2014, where he said that I'm seeing this technology, I'm seeing IoT, I'm seeing big data, fast data, and that will become disruptive to our industry. So we need to take the lead or risk to become irrelevant. So he said, let's create a data-driven advantage here at ESAB. That's what's really the starting point of our journey.
We normally use the concept, think big, start small, scale fast, which means set your vision, execute where you stand, and then scale fast. There are two specific success factors in this specific case. The first one is you have to have a client that is very willing to change their way of working. And we as a partner and a vendor have to be very flexible in the way that we approach them. You need to have a clear strategy to be able to achieve your targets. The sooner you have your strategy, the sooner you will draw the benefits from implementing IoT.
Well, I would say that Welder Cloud is really the proof of concept of our digital strategy. We have demonstrated how we can leverage data in IoT and analytics to create significant value for our customers. This is only the beginning.
The moral of the story is that by selling this new digital product to its customers, ESAB has become the welding market leader with smart online products, which all goes to show that TELE2's cloud is so powerful it can even lift heavy industrial services to new heights. Thanks for watching.
Excellent. So, thank you. So, ESAB is one of the largest welding manufacturers in the world. I think they started off by being number 3 in the world, and now number 2. And they're, of course, aiming to become number 1. And, of course, the data-driven advantage that the top management at ESAB, together with Anders Lind, who was then the internal hero, crafted, is really the driving force behind their magnificent growth in the market. And just 2 small anecdotes. And this is very important for the visitors here that are actually building solutions and wanting to connect their solutions and their things. And the moral of this story is that very often I encounter companies that want to do great things. But then they look at the world of IoT and they think, my God, do I have to reinvent every single product? Do I have to re-engineer everything? And so the story is that Anders had the same notion. My God, do I have to recreate every single vending machine that or welding machine that I want to connect up? So I went with him into the factories. And on every single welding machine, there is an RS-232 port. And so I asked him, what is that for? Well, there is a small computer on every single welding machine. And I said to him, well, why don't you just stick a modem on the RS-232 ports? And it's connected. And so what they did, they took their old, boring welding machines, painted it with a bright new yellow color, put a modem on it, and put a logo on it called the Welder Cloud. Went out into the market. Their customers, their partners, the analysts, everyone thought that this was a brand new product that they were taking to market. Of course, it wasn't. It was the old legacy product that they've put another wrapper around it. So the moral is, of that story, that you don't have to reinvent your products. It's about making them smarter. It's about understanding how to be able to do that in the most efficient way possible. Now, I don't know if you saw that Apple Watch with the Welder Cloud on it. you know, sometimes it's the very small things that make things happen. And of course, the guys in the factories, you know, when they sit around there having their coffee, when they use the welding machines, when they sit and have their coffee, they sort of look at their watch and they say, well, my welding machine is doing pretty damn well, and this is how much I've used today, right? So that, you know, the small things, the killer apps, is really what is driving the evolution for ESAB here now. And that is just one out of many. So, the second thing that we're seeing that our successful customers are doing is that they're really getting full top management buy-in. Remember, this is a change project that the internal hero is engaging in. So, obtaining full top management and stakeholder buy-in is essential to drive any project, and especially any project of massive change, which is IoT, right? So I would argue that the internal hero has to do two things. Number one, he or she has to be a project leader. They have to lead the project of change, and they all have to also be business developers, because this is about coming up with new ideas, new solutions, new thoughts within the scope of IoT within that organization. At the same time, they have to be somewhat of a politician, being able to communicate with top management and keep key stakeholders involved and interested and integrated into the project. Do you agree so far? Yeah? Good. So I'm preaching to the choir here. That's good. The third thing, and I would argue that this is probably the most important, although all three are very important, and that is longevity. And what do we mean by longevity? Well, in essence, we're talking about three things. Well, when we talk to our customers, we talk about the crawl, walk, run approach, which really starts with thinking big, starting small, and scaling fast. Now, to be able to do that, you need to achieve three things. Number one, your CFO needs to look at this as long-term investments rather than costs. They're viewing this as costs. They're not understanding that unless they're taking the leap of faith into the world of IoT, most likely, in 5, 10, 15, 20 years from today, they're not going to stay in business. So this is actually investing in being able to continue as the business that you are today. Obviously changed, but still continuing as a business. The second and third thing very much hangs together. Scalability and flexibility. And this will lead me on to the latter part of my presentation, which is really about when you go into IoT, you have to leave the legacy way of producing new solutions and products. And what is it that I'm talking about? Well, predominantly it is about the fact that you are not going to look for vendors. So number one, there isn't a single player in the world, not TELE2, not IBM, not Microsoft, not Google, not Apple, no one that can, in their own right, bring to market an end-to-end solution in IoT. Why? Simply because there's so many different components in that chain that needs to hang together. Right? You need devices with modules, you need connectivity, you need integration, you need software, you need operation. There's so many different components that you need to deliver, so you need to interact with the IoT ecosystem. Which means that when you're looking at this going into IoT, you shouldn't look for vendors, you should look for partners. Partners that understands how you are going to want to go to market, that understands that they need to reduce the commercial barriers for you to get started. Now, the single most important thing that our customers that have been successful have done, they've done one very important thing. They started thinking big, and then they started small, and then they scaled fast. Now, the moral of that story is that the scaling part is so important, because you're not going to invest millions and millions day one. You are going to want to take the leap of faith, starting small. The only way that you are going to be able to start small is if you have partners that are holding your hand during that journey, allowing you to reap the benefits of IoT. And when you reap the benefits of IoT, they reap the benefits of you reaping the benefits of IoT. Clear? Good. So, a little bit about TELE2 IoT then. You liked that picture, didn't you? So did we. We stand out. And I think we stand out because of this. You know, we have a very, very clear strategy of what we're doing, and more importantly, what we're not doing. And I bet you that we're the only global mobile operator that have a heart in their strategy house. And that heart is IoT love. And what IoT love is really how we convert all of the things that we are doing for our customers into a customer experience. And we have a booth up here. There are lots of IoT Hearts you can take home with you. It doesn't say TELE2 on them, so you can stick them on anything if you want. Now again, if there was someone with a gun pointing it at my head and asking me, what is the single most important thing? Well, it is the partnerships. That is really what is propelling our success within the IoT ecosystem today. You can see that it's framed here. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about the IoT ecosystem here. Well, I think you've got this already, right? Partnerships is the only way to go if you're in IoT. Now, that means if you're an IoT player in the ecosystem, or if you're a customer wanting to deploy IoT within your solutions, within your organization, to take to your customers. So I also said that it's very important to know what you don't deliver to the market. And we do not deliver hardware. The only thing we deliver that is hard is the SIM card. And the operators in the room that are here will know that even the SIM card won't be hard for so much longer. A lot of people are developing soft SIMs. So are we, by the way. So are we. Next year, you will have that from TELE2. Did I promise too much now? A little bit. Okay. And we don't do anything vertical. So where we stop is as soon as the solution becomes vertically focused, that's where we bring on board partners. Partners such as IBM, partners such as Microsoft, partners such as Cisco and Jasper, right? Soon as the solution becomes vertical, that's where we bring on board our partners. And as soon as the solution becomes hard, sensors and modems and devices and routers, we bring on board our partner ecosystem. And so the value of thinking about IoT as a big ecosystem of partners for the customer, of course, is given, right? You know, it clearly reduces the risk dramatically for the customers. You know, it will improve the quality, it will improve time to market, most likely it will improve the price of the solution, and over time, of course, the ROI for the customer will be dramatically improved. That's just a given. But also for the partners, this is very important, because of course, when you're engaging with our other partners, you're gaining so much more. You're gaining reach. Very often, like in the case with us and many of our partners, we're gaining extension of our product portfolio. And of course, most importantly, you're gaining access to a lot of talented, knowledgeable people that most likely aren't all in your organization, right? So there is a lot of value at looking at IoT as a big ecosystem of partners that in one way or another need to cooperate. And so, of course, like many other players, we have a partner ecosystem name. It's called the TELE2 IoT Success Factory. Pretty cool name, right? Success Factory. We're all becoming successful. And it consists of many different types of partners. We call them go-to-market partners. This is very much where we together go and talk to enterprises and deliver end-to-end solutions together with our partners. It's what we call our product partners, and this is where we or our partners enrich each other's product portfolios with many different types of solutions. And the last one, the IoT Alliance. And I will talk a little bit more about the IoT Alliance in a second. Because one of the biggest problems in the space of IoT is, of course, that there are so many different service providers delivering so many different connectivity types. And if I'm a customer and looking at that spectrum, first of all, what kind of bearer service should I use? Should I use Wi-Fi? Should I use fixed line? Should I use cellular? Should I use some sort of other radio service? You know, it's very complex to understand what to invest in, especially since a lot of the mobile operators are shutting down certain frequencies consistently, right? It is very complex. So one of the areas that we're looking very much into is how do we as service providers cooperate together to create coherent solutions for our customers with a longevity perspective on it. And so if you're a service provider, and especially if you're a mobile operator, you know, this is the world that we live in. That's just a fact, right? Our general business is rather static. You know, we went through the steel bath from voice to data, and now we're all scurrying around trying to monetize data, and we really haven't found the magic equation yet to how to do that. However, the area that is growing very fast is the world of IoT. Without sharing too much, I can tell you that we are growing at 10% month on month from a revenue perspective, which is pretty damn significant. And I know that a lot of other operators are also growing at high speed when it comes to IoT specifically. But of course, when you're a service provider and start to look at IoT, you know, it's significantly different to the general telco business. Not better, just very, very different, right? Sales cycles are completely different. The complexity of the solutions are often much higher. You have to work in an ecosystem of partners, not really the forte of the operators, you know, the big bad guys. You know, we want to take it all ourselves. All of a sudden, we have to cooperate, and we have to find models for that. Each customer is different, meaning that we can't apply our small, medium, large packages, meaning that we have to be able to customize every single deal, every single technology for every single customer. Very complex, right? So if you're not prepared for that, you know, you have a big road ahead of you. Because, of course, what happens with the operators is very often is that they start looking at connectivity. And they say, look, I have my network, may it be fixed, may it be cellular. I go and I buy managed connectivity solutions. But of course, when you look at what you actually need to do as a service provider to be able to really supply a full-fledged IoT solution into the market, there's so many more things that you need to look at. It's not only the connectivity. You need to be able to supply 24/7 IoT-specific support. You know, I think we host, I think it's 65 or 70 different types of SIM cards for specific purposes with specific applications on them. You know, there's so many different things that you need to be able to cater to. And so it is a very, very complex area. And so what we then are doing now, we are launching a large alliance with many different service providers, not only operators, cellular operators, also fixed operators, satellite providers, other radio frequency providers, shortwave, to be able to come to a customer with a holistic approach of how you really deploy connectivity solutions within your organization. And so if there are service providers that are here today, that are here to learn, we are happy to help. And of course, if there are service providers that are already down the IoT path, we're very happy to cooperate. There are many areas, as you can see here, that we as service providers and operators are able to cooperate in. And so we have Nabil and Richard, and Jon Petter, please stand up so that everyone can see you. So we have Richard, Nabil, and Jon Petter that are here, and they're of course eager to speak to the service providers in the room about the alliance. So please feel free to grab them or myself in one of the breaks later on. So, to wrap it up, and I think we've had it before, we find it pretty funny. No? No giggles? Little giggle? Okay. So really, in essence, guys, I think, look, it's clear to say that one of the biggest barriers for our customers today is not that they don't really know what to do. It's really they don't really know the results of it, and because they don't know the result, they can't put together a holistic strategy around it. So the way to look at IoT is from a strategic perspective. You need to be able to take the leap of faith and start trying things out. Thinking big, starting small, and scaling fast. Of course, the second thing is partnerships. You have to look at this from a partnership perspective. That's the only way that you are going to be successful in the game of IoT. And finally, of course, the service providers, please come and talk to us. Thank you very much for listening.